We are wrestling. We are wrestling podcast.
They give a shout out to We Are Wrestling on YouTube.
You're watching We Are Wrestling.
Stop!
I'm the host with the most.
You are by far the least intelligent.
What's going on, everybody? Danny Huckins here, man. 1/3 of We Are Wrestling.
What's going on? We are Wrestling Maniacs Worldwide. Ben here, the third of the talk show.
We Are Wrestling Podcast.
Make sure to subscribe, baby.
We are wrestling.
What is up? We are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide. I'm the host with the most, the best one, Donnie, here with...
What is going on? We are Wrestling Maniacs Worldwide. It is me, the second host of We Are Wrestling Podcast. As you can see, Dan's not here, but the show must go on. So we have a great show for you guys today, but before we get into all those topics, Don, take it away.
That's right. We have some pretty interesting topics this week in the wrestling world. Lots of news has been happening all over. We're going to be covering it here on the podcast. But before we do that, if you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, and you're not a part of the thousands of subscribers or followers, if you're listening to this, recommend you guys to hit that subscribe button now. Turn on the post notifications. Videos be coming out of nowhere like an RKO. And of course, you already know, the grind is real.
I never get tired of that intro.
And I never get tired of it either. That's why it's been the same intro for the past 6 months, I believe.
It is so hard to fucking, like, it's so hard to genuinely try to fucking nail that when you're not here. But I try. I try, for sure.
At least you try. Danny, on the other hand, he just doesn't try. Which, hey, you get an A for effort. There you go.
Thanks, man.
So before we dive into the wrestling news for We Are Wrestling Podcast 57, anything you want to talk about from this week?
The fact that I'm absolutely wildly surprised that Ali is kind of getting a push, even though I kind of know where this is going. I think that's like my biggest thing is like we're actually getting Ali on screen more, which is great because the dude is criminally underrated. If you've ever seen like his Instagram videos, dude, his training videos are fucking top notch, man. That dude can go. So to see that he's finally kind of getting a push, I mean, it's unfortunate that it's around the time that we're going to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, but I'm still here for it because Mustafa Ali, again, criminally underrated, and I think he could really do something for the division a little bit. Obviously, we know where this is going because, you know, he's going against Gunther for the fucking Intercontinental title. It would be kind of a shock if Mustafa Ali was the person to throw him off, which I don't see happening considering the dude's like too
motivation,
happy.
Ben.
Hey, man, you know, I'm down for any kind of positivity with any fucking superstar that has sufficiently needed a push, but my God, like, I'm glad for it. I am worried at the same time, but it's still nice to see, you know. So I that's probably got to be realistically has to be my highlight, which is probably a hot take.
Man, honestly, I'm so happy for Mustafa Ali, especially the fact that WWE added the Cody Rhodes pyros after he won that match. Like, it felt very important, and I really like what WWE's doing here with the draft. You have Raw, you have SmackDown, and you have free agents. And honestly, like, Ali being a free agent, that's a great way to continue to push him by having him, you know, get these wins and, you know, being positive. Elias is also, you know, doing really well with it because he, you know, during the Raw talk after the draft, he mentioned to Rick Boogs that he's an attraction, so he could be on both Raw and SmackDown. So I'm really liking the way that they're doing this draft, having the free agents. I think it definitely adds something to it. Paul Heyman's visitor pass, I know a lot of people are laughing about that, including myself. thought it was like a hall pass, but
Visitor's
honestly,
pass.
I kind of like that little touch that they added to that because it made sense.
It does, because especially since the Usos are on Raw and you got Solo and fucking Roman on SmackDown.
Nope,
right?
Usos are on SmackDown with them.
Oh, they got drafted back to SmackDown?
Yeah, but I think Heyman was trying to handle some business, trying to, make sure Sammy and Kevin get screwed.
Gotcha. All right, so yeah, it kind of goes into the storyline.
Yeah, so definitely before we dive into the topics, if you guys have not checked out the Create Pro Wrestling vlog where I gave MJF a present, recommend you guys to check that out. It is up on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel.
Yeah,
what
buddy.
an adventure that was last weekend, Ben.
Hell fucking yeah. You want to talk about it for a little bit?
Hey, let's talk about it for a little
Fuck
bit.
yeah, man.
All the
How
time
was it?
tonight, baby.
How was it, man? How was that experience, and having MJF actually like see you and genuinely recognize you?
Dude, MJF at this point, man, I'm his friend at this point. Like, it's crazy because, like, earlier this week on the YouTube channel, we posted a video of myself and MJF's, history going all the way back to 2018. And then, with the 2019 signing, writing to Dick on my 8x10. And then, getting to see him in Rhode Island. And he noticed me with, the We Are Wrestling Talk Show shirt. And now, going to Create a Pro Homecoming, his first return in the independent circuit in a few years now.
Yeah,
It was a surreal moment. And it's crazy because I thought that MJF was going to break that frame and rip that photo. But he actually kept it. I'm
Hell
very
yeah.
Even though he
Hell
made me
yeah.
$50 for him to open the gift, he's a smart businessman.
$50 to open it?
He did.
Did you actually pay him $50?
Yes, I did.
Oh my god, and did he keep it?
Yes, he did.
Oh my god.
He is a smart businessman, and that's why, like, I don't take that personally because he's the Triple B's, man. He's the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. He's the man
like
right now. So, honestly, like, if I'm the AEW World Heavyweight Champion and I'm carrying the Triple B's around, I'll be charging people $50 to open up presents.
Hey, man, you're lucky that he didn't charge you fucking 50 with an extra zero at the end. So, yeah, you're lucky. $50 is pretty fucking cheap, I'm not gonna lie.
That's right. And that was the friendly discount because what I was hearing during, like, the show, he was charging people like $100 for the video. So he gave me a deal.
Oh, so it was $50 to open it on camera?
Yep.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah. So yeah, that's how
other people paid like $100 for do like promos and other stuff with them.
Really? Really? So that
that was the rumor going around the ice rink during the show. And that was something cool too, man. At Create a Pro, they actually did have this show like in like a hockey like ice rink, except the ice wasn't like on the ground.
Well, yeah, because they had to get the fucking ring in there and everything. But yeah, dude, that sounds like a pretty solid experience, man. I'm glad you had a good time.
Man, it was a great time. And I gotta say, man, for going to a lot of independent wrestling shows, Create a Pro is definitely one I recommend the We Are Wrestling Maniacs if you're in the New York, New Jersey area to go check out because they really are the stars of tomorrow. And I saw a lot of positive wrestlers there, man, that I haven't seen in Blitzkrieg or Northeast Wrestling that I really think, we're going to be seeing in WWE, Impact, Ring of Honor, AEW for years to come.
Hell yeah, man. And like I said, independent shows are fucking important because that's the future, That's the future of this business.
That's right. And that's why, we always recommend our listeners, our watchers to go support independent wrestling. They're always in your area. Doesn't hurt to spend $10 to go to a show, have a fun night. And something I really love to do, outside of, creating content.
Hell yeah, man. It's a really, really good, way to support, your passion, and it really helps elevate these people to get to live their fucking dreams, man. And, if you're able to help do that very early on, it's going to be a sick thing in the future to be like, yeah, dude, I met that dude for $10 at one point, even though they're like a multi-million-dollar star now, So it's really important to support the indies. And
here's a perfect example too. MJF, where, a lot of our We Are Wrestling Maniacs have subscribed to the channel because of him.
God.
I met him back in 2018 I only spent $20 to get a photo with him and an autograph 8x10. Now, MJF is one of the biggest stars in the pro wrestling business, and he's charging $100 per autograph, $100 per photo, and $150 to sign a figure or a championship belt.
Yeah, man.
That's why I recommend you guys to, go support independent wrestling, because you really don't know who's going to be that next guy. Seriously.
And always keep your eyes open for a favorite, because you never know. That favorite might actually be the world champion one day.
That's right. Like our We Are Wrestling Maniac, Maxwell Jacob Freeman. But
Dude
now
went
with
from
that
a
being
shit-talking
said,
nobody. One more thing. Dude went from a shit-talking nobody to a fucking Burberry god, so it can happen to anybody.
I love that. The Burberry God, MJF.
Yeah, man.
Go
The
check
god
that
wrapped
vlog
in
out if you
Burberry.
haven't checked it out. But with
Have you
that
ever
being
seen
said,
Toga's
let's
Burberry?
dive into the topics for this week's episode of the We Are Wrestling Podcast.
Let's fucking
57.
go. 57, god
Speaking
damn.
of Mustafa Ali, the highlight of your week in the pro wrestling world,
Hell yeah.
Mustafa Ali recently did an interview and doesn't think Retribution really sucked. So, I have all the details here before we get into this. So, during an interview with Sportskeeda Wrestling, Ali stated that the fatal thing about it was it never had a why. As much as I tried with online promos, I gave everything a reason, because here's the thing. I didn't come up with the concept of Retribution. I didn't come up with the names. I was just kind of given this thing, but at the end of the day, it was an opportunity. So I was like rolling up my sleeves, stepping up, ready to swing. I'm like, I'm going to hit a home run with this. In all honesty, I thought I did. I had reasons for the names. I had reasons why we were all together and why we were brought us together. I had answers. I had answered the whys. But the problem is the whys never made it to TV for you, the viewers, to understand the whys. Also, although social media has a lot of reach, there's nothing that beats live TV, because that's where we get the most views. Yep. So we were just kind of, I don't want to say a victim, but it was just a placement on the card. Things took priority, and ultimately, I think because the people that put it together, they didn't have the real why intentionally, and that's why it kind of just fell through the cracks. I went down swinging with it. I am forever thankful for the opportunity, because I think it proved that I could cut one hell of a promo and that I could be a leader. If you really go back, because the big knock on Retribution is the silly names, and take that away, what do you have? The performance were great. The promos were great. The presentation was great to a certain extent. It was just the story never really developed, and why. People knock about the Retribution because they always lost. Yeah, that didn't help. But at the same time, it didn't hurt, because as long as losses meant something, we were going somewhere. We would have been so fine. So my big take on this is, I don't think Retribution really sucked. I think we just never got the opportunity to answer the question of why. So, what are your thoughts on Mustafa Ali's take about the failed faction Retribution?
I can see where he's going. Like I said, I think it was a little contradictory there with what he was saying, because everybody knew why. I mean, these are all underutilized, unappreciated superstars that could have had severe fucking pushes, minus a couple. Like, there was Mace, the dude that's a part of fucking the Maximum Male Models now. Like,
Moss.
He didn't, or Moss or whatever. Yeah, like I didn't see really him going places, but a few of the others, fucking Djax doing great in NXT now, fucking Mustafa Ali's getting T-Bar, is doing fucking great. And then you got Mustafa Ali, fucking Mia Yim is a part of fucking the OC now, like
Reckoning.
See, I could understand where they were going, because a lot of it felt like, the seven deadly sins, and I can kind of understand that. Like, I can understand where the concept was coming from, and I thought it was a great concept. Just the execution was fucking horrendous, and I feel like a lot of that is because Vince McMahon couldn't make up his fucking mind. He was super indecisive, as we know, about everything. So to have this group and then to kind of drop the ball with it, it's an unfortunate situation. Do I think that the idea sucked? No, but the execution was fucking horrendous. And then, putting them in fucking masks and shit, and then putting voiceovers and shit was just weird, and just it was a lot of their matches were very underwhelming. So I wouldn't say that they sucked, but I wouldn't say that they were memorable.
Yeah, and unfortunately in WWE, we see a lot of factions come and go. Some, stick. Others, they end up, being something we laugh at for years. And with Retribution, I think what didn't help was what Ali said in the interview. The why. Yes, a lot of them, they weren't being used properly, but we never really had a why to, why were they in the Thunderdome trying to, hijack everything? And then, the hacker thing, they did that for a while without even knowing who it was going to be. And then, Ali becomes, the hacker. And at first, they did a great job with the reveal of Ali.
Oh, yeah.
They did a fantastic job. But afterwards, they kind of lost that momentum, because if you're a leader of a faction that's, going against WWE, like the Nexus in 2010, they had an opportunity to, really make the Nexus something, but they never really did anything. And a lot of that had to do with the booking decisions of their leader, Wade Barrett. They should have had him win the WWE Championship, and that would have taken Nexus to that next level. They would have been taken more seriously. And with Ali, with Retribution, I'm not saying Ali should have been WWE Champion, but we should have given him the Intercontinental or the United States Championship during this time, because then people would have taken Retribution more seriously. And it didn't help that they were performing in front of, LED screens of people webcamming watching the show.
Yeah. It was, like I said, the execution was super poor. They didn't really take time to flesh it out. There was a lot of details there that were missing, we didn't really get a formation. They were just kind of there, there was no long-term storytelling, and for stables like that, that's something that you want. You want the receipts, you want to show those vignettes, you want to build up each and every single one of these members and make it huge, not just randomly throw them together and be like, this is a new stable and they're dominant,
Yeah, and I think it really didn't help either with a lot of, the hardcore wrestling fans, because a lot of people didn't really like how Shane Thorne, he was the guy that played Slapjack. They wanted him to be Shane Thorne. Same thing with T-Bar. They wanted him to be Donovan Dijakovic. Same thing with Reckoning. They wanted her to be Mia Yim.
Mm-hmm.
So there was all those situations there, and I love how Ali, though, is looking at the positive side of things with this, because he definitely took a lot, from this opportunity. Because this, put him in a position where, he had to cut promos, he had to be a leader, and he was able to get some of that TV exposure, because we've all known Ali is a fantastic professional wrestler in that ring. We see it on Instagram with all the training videos he does. But he's never really had character and personality until they gave him this opportunity. And now look at what he's doing.
Now he's singing Hoobastank covers. Which, by the way, at first I was like, what the fuck are they doing to my boy? And then more and more I watched it, I was just like, you know what? Honestly, this kind of slaps.
But I love, the positive character they're doing with him. I think if they continue to do it right, he can definitely go somewhere with it.
Yeah, man. I think that, he's definitely, a guy that if he can see the sense in it, he's a team player. And, he really is, kind of strutting his stuff a little bit. He's showing us what we can do and showing his range, and a lot of silly characters seem very, silly at first, but it really takes the superstar to rock it and make it cool. And Ali's doing just that. So
Exactly, and I think he's really taken a page out of Sami Zayn's book, because we've all known Sami Zayn is one of the best pro wrestlers, but
Oh
then he,
my
took
God.
this whole conspiracy thing and now turned it into this
Bro,
whole, bloodline thing to
that's what I'm
now being
saying,
one of the most popular baby faces in WWE.
Honestly, that was probably the best thing that you could have used as an example, because Sami Zayn is basically the definition of power of positivity. Like, if you could take anything and rock with it, you're going to eventually get handed a massive opportunity that's going to change your career and the way that people look at you. I mean, look at the fucking dude now. In just a short year and some change, and the dude went from wrestling fucking Johnny Knoxville in a Jackass match to literally being a part of the biggest storyline in professional wrestling right now. That's fucking
And main
nuts.
eventing night one.
My God, dude, when he fucking did the haluva kick to fucking Roman, I was going to cry. I was like, this is a dude that I could not fucking stand to watch on TV that basically hogged the Intercontinental title back in 2020 and made it worth nothing, to literally winning the hearts and souls of millions of WWE fans around the fucking world, and he is one of the biggest faces in the fucking pro wrestling industry today. So
Exactly. And for me, man, with Ali, I've always respected him a lot, because I did read an article a while back when he was doing the whole Cruiserweight Classic thing that was exclusive to WWE Network. He was still working as a police officer, and he still managed to, make the time to work with WWE. And then they found out that he was working, the second job on top of doing the Cruiserweight Classic. And then, they ended up signing him and having him be a part of the 205 Live.
I'm so glad that he made it to the main roster too, because again, Vince had to have seen something in him to call him up to the main roster. Not only just hire him full time to get out of his police work, but to go from 205 Live, a place that nobody fucking a show nobody watches.
A lot of people didn't really make it out of there, actually, too.
Brian Kendrick barely made it out of there, and then got fired. Cedric Alexander's still sitting in fucking catering 3 years later.
With Shelton.
See, I feel like both of those are. Oh shit! Oh my God! Fucking Mike.
Retribution's taking over the podcast.
Yeah, I guess somebody didn't like what I had to say there for a second. But no, I feel like that's hellaciously criminal for both of those individuals, because Shelton Benjamin was at one point the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion, and then you got Cedric Alexander, who is one of the most talented individuals that has ever graced a fucking ring. His promo skills are kind of whack, but his in-ring ability is fucking great. They need to get the Hurt business back together. But I know that that's not where we're going right now. And plans were there, but then got scrapped last minute. So I don't know. But I think both of those guys really need to make it out of catering. So
yeah, and I just think, Ali, I like how, he's just rolling with, everything that's given to him.
You got
And
it,
I know at
WWE.
one point he requested his release from WWE because he wasn't even being used on TV. But, now things seem like they're going pretty good for both sides. He's
Things are
being
looking
used properly on TV. He's actually getting some wins now.
Hell yeah. Got them
Motivation's
W's.
a real thing, ladies and gentlemen.
Hell yeah.
But moving on now to our next topic. We saw some reports earlier this week that Pat McAfee signed a massive deal with ESPN, up to $10 million per year for his podcast.
So it's just his podcast that he signed the deal for?
Yeah, so he will be having a talk show on ESPN.
Oh, okay. Well, you can say part-time for WWE for now. I don't see him stepping back into the commentating role for a while, especially with this new deal. I think that Pat McAfee is a jewel of the fucking earth that we need to protect at all costs. I honestly think that's great. I would rather, as much as I think he's if not one of the best, minus Michael Cole, JR, and Larry, fucking Jerry Lawler, rather. Sorry, Jerry Lawler. Sorry. Larry!
He called him Larry! That's CM Punk's dog.
My brain is fucking fried still.
I'm sorry to get off topic. So, CM Punk's dog, Larry?
Yeah.
I showed my fiance a picture of Larry.
Yeah, he's haunting looking.
Yeah, that's what she
he's
said.
a little fucking fur goblin. But yeah, no,
Fucking hilarious.
you know, he's one of the greatest fucking commentators of all time. However, with this super part-time schedule, I see him only commentating a select few shows like WrestleMania, maybe the Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, stuff like that. But more so, I see him coming back in for in-ring shit. Like, he comes back to commentate, something happens, he's in a match for a fucking massive pay-per-view. And I think that that's how it's going to go for a while. That's just the way I see it, especially with this new deal, how he can make the most money. And I think that that's the same way he can utilize both companies, especially if he's still under contract with WWE, which I'm not sure if he is or not.
So, you know, as a sports fan, I do follow, you know, the NFL, the NBA. I follow, you know, regular sports outside of pro wrestling. And Pat McAfee has made a lot of noise since, you know, retiring as, you know, a kicker in the NFL. And he's been very popular with, you know, this podcast that he's been doing, the Pat McAfee Show on, I believe, FanDuel. He was doing it on. But now he's, you know, going to be having this deal to ESPN where he's going to be seen more from more people, as he deserves to, because one of his shows, you know, in the sports world is actually one of the top 5. Like, a lot of people, you know, go to the Pat McAfee Show to get their sources and get their details for things that are happening. A lot of, you know, Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers, you know, Hall of Fame quarterback.
He ended up going to another team, right?
Yep, he ended up going to another team, and all of this news came out because of his interview with Pat McAfee on, you know, FanDuel.
That's the one glorious thing to being a football
player. So with Pat
player.
McAfee, man, I gotta say, like, for ESPN to, you know, give him the bag for something he's really good at, he absolutely deserves it. And a lot of people in the IWC are worried that we're not going to be seeing him as much. And something that I do want to add, because I follow sports and, you know, ESPN and stuff, these, you know, analysts, they can do stuff outside of ESPN. They're very flexible about that. You know, JJ Redick, he's, you know, a basketball player who, you know, does a show with Stephen A. Smith, First Take, but he also, you know, has his own podcast outside of ESPN, and he's able to do other ventures. And with Pat McAfee doing this deal, I see him, you know, showing up to like WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, and he's going to do like one-off appearances here and there when his, you know, schedule is available. Because one thing we know from the time that we've seen, you know, Pat McAfee work with Adam Cole to wrestling Vince McMahon in a random wrestling match at Mania, he loves this business. And he's grateful for the opportunities given to him.
Dude. When it comes to podcasts, I think Impulsive and the Pat McAfee Show are the most popular, in my opinion. Like, they have stellar fucking viewership and just stellar topics. And they're also two dudes that can just talk, and they have some of the most interesting guests on their show. So, bravo to both of them. And ironically enough, both of them are fucking phenomenal in the ring and genuinely have come to love this fucking business and provide every single time. So, I think with that being said, I think that Vince, Hunter, and Nick Khan can all collectively agree that they'll take whatever they can get, 100%, and definitely provide him with that leniency because, again, he has the pull. He's another fucking needle mover, and he's barely a superstar. He's barely a WWE superstar, and he brings in the money. So I think, you know, at this point, it's just safe to say that it's going to be beneficial for everybody in the long run.
Exactly, and I think that this is only going to help WWE and Pat McAfee because Pat McAfee is already known worldwide, but now having this podcast on much more of a worldwide scale is definitely going to only, you know, elevate him, and if he ever makes appearances in WWE, more eyes are going to be on WWE, even though there already is a lot of eyes on them because of him.
Yeah, dude. Like I said, between Logan Paul and fucking Pat McAfee alone, they could fucking draw in millions. So, yeah, I can definitely say that this is beneficial for everybody.
Absolutely. But, guys, we'll be right back with more We Are Wrestling Podcast 57. Saturday, June 17th, 2023, both Captain's Corner and Zombie Hideout are bringing professional wrestling back to the New England area with the Wrestling Classic 3, which will be a wrestling convention bringing in some of the best wrestlers throughout the years at this event in Springfield, Mass. at the South End Community Center. You can meet Hall of Famers Kurt Angle, Lex Luger, DDP, AEW stars, The Guns, and so many more classic stars to be announced on Saturday, June 17th. And for the first time ever, We Are Wrestling. We're going to be a vendor. We're going to be working with Zombie Hideout and Captain's Corner with this event. Best One Donnie has had the opportunity to go to both the Wrestling Classic 1 and 2. And let me tell you, the Wrestling Classic 3 is going to be like no other. And if you want to, have an opportunity to meet some of the best in the business, they will be in Springfield, Mass. on Saturday, June 17th. South End Community Center in Springfield, Mass. Also, the We Are Wrestling team will be there with a table. We'll be having merchandise, and we'll also be giving away some stuff as well. And of course, you already know, we'll be vlogging as well. You're definitely not going to want to miss this event. Get your tickets now. We're back, and before, we get into our next topic on, the We Are Wrestling podcast, we want to send, our love, our condolences to superstar Billy Graham's, family, because we got the unfortunate news on Wednesday that he passed away, and we wanted, to send our love, send our prayers, to Billy Graham, all the wrestlers and all the fans, and of course, his family during this time.
Yeah, and everybody affected by the loss, man. And it's unfortunate, with anybody that's in this business, usually that they end up passing away a little bit earlier, especially because of, head trauma, bumps that they've taken and over a certain amount of time in their career. And it's just unfortunate. And I wish that there was, a little bit more of a better solution for those guys. So, but, it may not have been that. It may have just been natural causes, which it could definitely possibly be, but you never know, especially with the long-standing shit that they go through. So
yeah, well, it was something like natural cause. I know he passed, he was 79 years old.
Oh, shit, so he was 79?
He did live pretty long, and
well
that's where the term superstar came from. It was from Billy Graham himself.
Superstar Billy Graham, man.
Hall of Famer, man, in this business. And, We Are Wrestling. We send our love, to everybody, that's going through it right now. Absolutely. And, man, I got to say, Ric Flair, his post, beautiful.
Yeah, you love or hate him. He's a jackass. But, yeah, it was a beautiful post, man.
It was. All right. So, moving on now to the next topic on, We Are Wrestling 57. There could be a new member of Imperium.
Oh my God.
We heard this past week that WWE is going to be pushing Gunther as one of the top heels on Monday Night Raw moving forward. Yeah. And the insider Twitter account at Boozer Wrestling, who has been very accurate with WWE scoops, dropped an interesting nugget of information on plans to add a new member to the group. Boozer stated that Ilya Dragunov,
you piece of shit.
Can you say that name again, please, for me?
Ilya Dragunov
has been eyed to join Imperium later. There's no time frame yet. Do you think that Dragunov would be a great move for Imperium?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, and it's honestly kind of a good thing that they were to do that, because that makes it for an interesting storyline further down the line. Because if you guys know, Ilya Dragunov is the person that threw off Gunther from the fucking NXT UK title in general. He's the one that took it before Gunther eventually moved to the main NXT brand. So I'm excited because he was one of my draft picks too.
With Walter and Gunther in WWE NXT, he's only lost less than the fingers on my hands.
And one of them was Ilya.
It was Ilya,
and he was the big one. So I chose him in my fucking fantasy draft, bitch. So I'm excited.
Yeah, Don Styles is probably kicking the ground right now.
Oh, he's punching solid air. He's punching air right now. He's out here just like.
Or he's probably like SpongeBob right now. He has like bubbles and he's like making a bubble buddy and just punching the bubble buddy.
He's crying on its shoulder.
Yeah,
no, it's solid, man. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so my thoughts on this. This would be a great move to add him, in Imperium, because with NXT and, the main roster, the crowds are different. NXT, you have more of a hardcore wrestling fan base who follows these guys' careers before they sign with WWE. And, with the main roster, it's more casual fans. And a lot of the times we see, these guys that get called up from NXT get no reactions, and they're not really, popular with the WWE universe. And I think if you're going to throw, what's his name again? I have trouble pronouncing it.
Ilya Dragunov.
I just learned how to say Kaiser's name now. So
Ludwig Kaiser.
It's going to take me a little bit to, get this name. I'm just going to call him Dragon. All right.
Dragon,
is that okay?
gotcha. Yeah,
do I get the okay for that?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
All right. So Dragon.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that the best way to get him on Monday Night Raw would be putting him in a group like Imperium, because he has the same, wrestling style. He has, the look to be a part of Imperium. And
Absolutely.
Just like you said, later on down the line, when Gunther becomes World Heavyweight Champion, you can have this guy win a Royal Rumble or something, and you could do something similar to like Batista, where, he turned on Triple H, wrestled him at Mania for the title. And this, I'm talking years down the line, not WrestleMania 40 or 41, years down the line. And I think that they definitely shouldn't rush this.
No.
They definitely need to make this a process, just like Solo Sikoa, turning on Roman. We need to be very patient with that.
Isn't that set up for like SummerSlam or something?
With this stuff, you can make or break a superstar.
Isn't Roman and Solo, like off topic, but isn't it Roman and Solo for like SummerSlam or Survivor Series or some shit like that?
No.
Or like next year,
there's
probably.
no news yet on Solo versus Roman.
It's just confirmed that it's going to happen at some point.
It
right?
will at some point, and
Cool.
They need to be very patient, because if there's one thing that the Bloodline storyline has taught us during this time is timing is everything. Sami Zayn is now, been freaking launched like a freaking rocket to the moon.
Yeah.
Because they waited. And that's what I really hope here with Dragunov. They wait for him to turn on Gunther, or Gunther turns on him, and there you go. You have a bigger payoff.
Yeah, with fucking Solo and Roman, I think they're already starting to get that track moving because they're putting them together right now. And Roman is beating on Solo's brothers currently. Like, yeah, does he agree at the moment? Yes. But eventually the Usos are going to convince him, yeah, he's fucked. You don't want that. And they're going to clash.
I'm just waiting for freaking Roman to turn on the Usos. That's what I'm waiting for right now.
He already is. He already is. Like, we're already starting it. But
yes, I know they are, but I'm waiting for when they actually turn on them, which I feel like is going to be Night of Champions somehow, some way.
I think that's when the Usos are going to turn on Roman. I think that he's going to get a dual super kick, and I think Solo's going to get involved too. Not with Roman, but against the Usos. But as far as Ilya Dragunov and Gunther and everything and Imperium, it's a solid move. They really need to simmer it, put it on low for now, wait for a slow boil. Once it starts, the bubbles start popping, fucking cash in right there. I would say give it maybe a year, a year to build up the story, to build up a solid foundation, maybe a tag title reign for Imperium, and kind of see where it goes from there. It's a smart move. I think it's good for history, and when history repeats itself, it's not a bad thing if it's done on a larger scale the second time. And like you said, if Gunther wins the world title, and if there's ever gonna be an evolution type of turn, it's that. And I think Ilya is going to turn.
And I want to know, do you think that Ilya, can he succeed on his own without Imperium if he debuts on the main roster as a singles competitor?
Yeah, I do. I do think that he could carry his own. Like, I could see a really good program between him and Seth Rollins. I could see a good program between him and Damian Priest. I could see a good program between him and even a smaller guy, Johnny Gargano. I can see some really good matches out of Ilya Dragunov, because you don't go to the main roster known as the guy that threw off the literal in-ring general and not succeed. You are the guy that ended his massive fucking reign. So, yeah, he's the only one that has been able to lace his boots next to Gunther. So, yeah, 100%. I think he could definitely thrive.
My only concern, if they did, not have him a part of Imperium, is one of those NXT call-ups that He's a great wrestler, but they have nothing for him. And I think that's
think
where
that'll
I
happen.
get worried about, with Ilya.
Dude, you have every right to be worried when it comes to a superstar to, getting lost under the fold. But I think Ilya is one of those people that I think will thrive, especially under the wing of Triple H, because of the history that was made in fucking the UK. So I don't think he's going to be seen as a small player whatsoever. I think he's super technical. I think he can take on just about almost anybody, and really put on a good match. Like him and Cody would put on a fucking fantastic match. Yeah. So I
will say one thing though. The crowd reaction for his main event match against Dolph Ziggler, that did really show me a lot of, promise there.
Hey man,
I will say
the Dolph Ziggler is also Dolph Ziggler could also wrestle a bag of fucking manure and make it look like $1 million. So I can genuinely buy that 100. And Ilya, again, if you've ever seen, I don't know if you took the time to watch the match between him and Gunther where Ilya eventually won. It was a
5-star.
fantastic classic, fucking classic. And with those kind of accolades, I think even Vince McMahon would be senile to not push him. So 100%, I could see him taking the Intercontinental eventually. I could see him taking the US eventually. Tag team titles are kind of like a dime a dozen, but singles titles are where it's at. And I think that starting him off on a prestigious title would be good.
And I think, bringing him in, with Imperium definitely gives, him a reason to be on the main roster. And the more exposure he gets to that crowd under Imperium, eventually the more over he's going to get when he turns on Gunther. We've already seen, their in-ring work with NXT UK. Great chemistry there. And honestly, I think this would be the right move to bring him in Imperium, pretty soon, like they did with Solo Sikoa with the Bloodline.
Yeah, but before they did all of that, I still need to see my Brock Lesnar versus Gunther match.
Oh, dude, I want to see Brock Lesnar versus Gunther.
That is a WrestleMania main event fucking match that I am beyond willing to watch. 100%. Like, again, Gunther I could see being the guy to throw off Roman.
If there's anybody that's going to retire Brock Lesnar, it's going to be that chop, that slap.
That's going to give him a fucking heart attack. That one fucking smack right on the pec is going to give him a fucking heart attack.
Yep, he's going to be slapping that thing like
you
Brock
saw what
Lesnar
he did
does
to
to his
fucking
cows on his
to
farm.
fucking Drew Gallagher, right? Or I think his name's Drew Gallagher. Fucking, he ripped his fucking shirt, just chopped him, and Drew Gallagher just dropped. I was like, damn, bro, fuck, what you mad for?
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
All right, but now, moving on to, the next topic, we have some updates on Bray Wyatt, who hasn't been seen on WWE TV since, the Royal Rumble with his, blackout match against LA Knight.
Which was fantastic.
According to PW Insider, Bray Wyatt is no longer listed on WWE's internal roster. WWE has an internal list of all their talent, and that includes names that are on it, that are injured, and inactive list. But Bray Wyatt's not listed on there at all.
Like,
what do you think is next for Bray Wyatt?
Well, one is a hopeful speedy recovery from whatever he's going through. That goes without saying. It's always scary when someone's dealing with some kind of illness that lasts months. As far as what's next for him, for when he returns, I think, depending, this is going to be probably the next topic or the topic after the next, but I think when he comes back, I see a program between him and Randy Orton. I think that would be the smartest thing to go next, because it would not only rehash a really good history, but it would be, I feel like, the most authentic, considering Orton's the one that fucking put him down in the first place. But he killed the Fiend that day.
Yeah, but the only issue is, having Randy Orton involved with him. We already know Randy Orton wasn't happy working with the Fiend. He did, come out and say that.
100%, because there's nothing that the Fiend could have done for anybody else. The Fiend was strictly for the Fiend. It didn't add anything to anybody's career unless he beat him, and I don't know. What's next? Probably some more of the Wyatt 6 stuff. Like, we're gonna need to get some answers going, because now we've pushed this farther because of his illness, which isn't, again, in his control. But there's got to be kind of some kind of tie up there. We got to clean that story up, and then we got to kind of go on from there. Like, I feel like his future right now is unknown because he was only there for so long. Like he was only around for so long. So it's kind of hard to tell what's next.
Yeah, it was a very, short run so far with his second run in WWE.
His first run was great, though.
He only wrestled one match on WWE TV.
Yeah, and honestly, it was phenomenal. Like, I had no idea how it was going to turn out, but my God, dude, that match was a lot more captivating than I'd like to admit. Like, he made that match amazing. Like, it had his name written all over it, and to have LA Knight be his opponent, couldn't have asked anything better.
Here's where, I have the unpopular opinion here, and I feel like I've always had an unpopular opinion when it comes to Bray Wyatt in WWE, because I've always loved his work. He was always one of my favorite guys. I loved the Eater of Worlds. That was my favorite Bray Wyatt. And I'm just going to say this. Bray Wyatt will never get to where he was unless he goes back to Eater of Worlds.
And he said that's dead now, too, because that's tied directly to Brody Lee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the Wyatt family. So
here's my issue now with Bray Wyatt. I feel like it's always been a WWE Bray Wyatt situation where I feel like now WWE has dug themselves in a hole yet again with Bray Wyatt. They put him in a corner, and it's like the only thing Bray Wyatt can do nowadays is cinematic matches. And I feel like that's not what he needs to do in order to get back to that top level.
Yeah,
he needs to be in the ring having regular matches with people.
And I think
that's my problem with it.
And I think that eventually that's going to be a thing. I think that they're going to.
We didn't see Undertaker doing these, blackout matches and, having, red Hell in the Cells and crap.
See, no, we didn't. However, times are different
Swamp
now.
matches.
Times are different now. Technology is different, but they are building him to be the next Undertaker. And if anybody's going to be the next Undertaker, it's him. Like, obviously there's going to be no Undertaker. There is nobody as big. But if there is going to be somebody that could fill those shoes, it's him, because even the Undertaker himself gave him that approval. So
Exactly. But here's the thing, man.
He does need to be more grounded.
They gotta have him wrestle in the ring, because the more cinematic matches they do with Bray Wyatt, the less I see the next Undertaker in him. And he's just
100%.
becoming one of those regular guys, and his act is getting too repetitive at this point. It's like a kid trying to eat broccoli for the first time. They don't want to eat it. And I feel like when it comes down to the whole, cinematic matches, don't get me wrong. Some of them I enjoy personally, but when you're doing it over and over and over again, and you're not even putting Bray Wyatt in regular matches, it gets repetitive, and I'm already sick of it.
Leave the cinematic matches for WrestleMania. 100%.
No, not WrestleMania.
See, WrestleMania seems like the best place because that's the largest scale that you're going to get in professional wrestling. And if they want to do something that's more of a performance and more of a huge deal, it would be WrestleMania. 100%.
Yeah, but if you're going to do I don't know. I feel like he just doesn't need cinematic matches to get to that next level. I think it's holding him back.
It kind of is, and like you said, it is getting a little bit more annoying, but I do think and agree that it needs to be a lot more grounded again.
There's 100 different ideas I'm sure you, me, and Danny can come up with and, push Bray Wyatt the right way, where fans would be happy and WWE would be happy. Because every time with Bray Wyatt and WWE, we've already seen the track record. Bray Wyatt, Eater of Worlds. Very over, very popular, but WWE was not giving him those important wins. Then with The Fiend in WWE made this character because the fans were complaining about Bray Wyatt not winning so much. So they tried making Bray Wyatt, this indestructible monster where it took friggin' 20 curve stomps to beat him and, try to make him unbeatable. And then you have him, get squashed to Goldberg. And then he goes, coming back, doing all these friggin' QR code riddles and stuff. Okay, it was a little clever. I'll give them that. But then you don't have the guy wrestle for I think like 4 months before, he goes into Rumble.
See,
That's
this is
my
what I would
issue.
do. This is what I would do with Bray Wyatt, especially to tease his comeback.
MJF
if you want
wrestled
cinematic
more than
shit,
him.
if you want to really flesh him out, and if cinematics really has to be his thing, do it for his promos, do it for his vignettes, but his matches, grounded matches. You can have a
need to have
cinematic.
normal matches in the ring, no
You
lights.
can have a
changing.
cinematic fucking entrance, but the match itself needs to be grounded. The moment those lights go on, he turns into a normal human being, just like The Undertaker. The Undertaker's
you.
entrance was fucking cinematic, but the moment he turned those lights on, he became a wrestling machine. That's what they need to do if you want to flesh out another Undertaker.
And I am with you 100% on that. That's my issue with Bray Wyatt. He can have the cool, sick cinematic entrances.
Even his promos
are
and vignettes.
fantastic. But in the ring, he needs to just be another human being like The Undertaker. Exactly.
There we go. He can be the supernatural entity as long as he doesn't even have to be at the show. His promos and his broadcast can be backstage or at home. Cinematic as fuck, dark, he's talking, the light shining down on his face, he's doing his shit. The moment he makes his entrance and gets to the ring, lights on. Boom.
And there you go. You can have great matches and, be known as one of the best.
And even if it's not all the time, and if it's every once in a while, as long as it's a regular match, I could go for like 10 matches a year, and I'd be fine. I would be fine, as long as they are regular matches. Even if it's high stakes.
Like, you can have Hell in the
matches.
Cells, you can have steel cages and stuff, but not cinematic matches.
Put the fucking lights on so I can see everything.
In the ring. And I'm glad that, I'm glad we didn't get that blackout match at Survivor Series, because we wouldn't have been able to see anything, probably, if we were watching it live.
I feel bad for any fan beating off in the crowd, because they're going to see that shit in the blackout.
Yeah. But guys, we'll be right back with more We Are Wrestling 57. One thing We Are Wrestling recommends you to do is support your local independent promotions. They are the stars of tomorrow. And you never know, sometimes when you go to these shows that might only have 10 to 30 people, you could be seeing the next future WWE champion, maybe even the next AEW star. And through the years, I've always been a huge advocate to supporting independent wrestling. And you can't go wrong. It's a cheap night out, you get a good time with the family, and you get to watch some good old wrestling. Independent wrestling, that's where usually a young professional wrestler starts their career. And having these opportunities to perform in front of crowds is a great way to get exposure to where they will eventually be on your television screen watching them every week. We recommend you guys to support indie wrestling. We're back, and normally every week on the We Are Wrestling podcast, we like to pick one random YouTube comment on We Are Wrestling Comment of the Week. And this here was during a match that I uploaded to the We Are Wrestling channel. MJF returns at Creative Pro. He wrestles this indie guy, Leo Sparrow, and this user at Fitzgerald434 commented. And this is the most liked comment, so I figured we would showcase this as the comment of the week. I love how AEW lets their wrestlers work in these shows. The fans at these shows don't expect it, and it's awesome to see everyone's reaction.
Fuck yeah. I think AEW definitely picks up a dub there with allowing the wrestlers to wrestle indie matches and to make a name for themselves, become a huge star, and then go back to the indies and have a huge fucking pop. Like, that's fucking huge. Like, for example, when you're at that show where Jon Moxley randomly showed up, the pop at the place in that fucking the roof in that place was about to fucking explode. So yeah, they definitely picked up a dub there. It's going to be nice knowing that WWE is working out some kind of same deal with their superstars. A few of them are going to be able to do that as well. I think it's just a dub all around. Even like if WWE allows a superstar to go wrestle on the indies again real quick and takes a percentage of what they make, I don't see the harm in it. Because you're bringing more eyes to WWE. You're allowing you know, your superstars that were bred from the indies return and see a lot of faces that they haven't seen before. They get to really interact with the fans on a smaller scale where it's like in front of, you know, 50 to 200 people, you know, rather than a stadium full of thousands. It's a lot more of an intimate experience, you know, and I feel like it's a win-win on every side. Everybody makes money, and at the end of the day, everybody's happy. So I think AEW really picks up a dub there.
And it's a very smart marketing move for AEW as well, because you're, you know, allowing these, you know, talent to go to these independent wrestling shows like Creative Pro, Northeast Wrestling, even, you know, some California, you know, promotions out there. They, you know, they just had Jericho Appreciation Society there. And allowing your talent to have that freedom is a really good move, because AEW does have a lot of guys that haven't really had a lot of exposure, and they don't really get enough in-ring time.
And Dark
so,
only
you know,
does so
like
good.
a perfect example, Brock Anderson, Arn Anderson's son. We don't really get to see him often on TV. I know he wrestled a few times on AEW Dark, but obviously, you know, he's a young, new wrestler, and he wants to get that experience in the ring. And the best way to get that experience in the ring is wrestling an independent wrestling show, because you're not being seen on television. You're able to work on, you know, the issues that you're having and, you know, become a better performer. And this really does help a lot of the independent talent as well, because a guy like Leo Smerrill, I've heard nothing but great things about him. I've started to do my research on him after his match with MJF, and honestly, like, having a guy that an independent promotion is very high on going against, you know, a guy that's already established, who's, you know, the world champion, that is a great way to get the independent wrestler to be better, too.
Yeah. You know, and like I said, you know, AEW picks up a massive dub because they let literally anybody go back to the indies. I mean, MJF was literally just at Creative Pro, and that's literally their world champion. He is literally the face of the company right now. And they let him just do his thing. You know, he got to go back after a few years to something that molded him. So, you know, I think that's such a huge, massive opportunity for any wrestling promotion. So the fact that, you know, AEW is really capitalizing on it, and they're making the profit for it, you know? So I think it's smart because, like you said, it gives a very new superstar a chance to really improve on their craft. And that is the most important thing out of anything, because you don't have to worry about, like, oh, I'm going to fuck up on TV. It's like, nope, I got the cows for this. Let's go, you know? And it's fucking awesome. And that's what I think even major promotion needs to do, including WWE, because NXT can only do so much. The Performance Center can only do so much. You need the hands-on fucking experience. And
the most important thing is they're learning. And that,
Precisely.
you know, can really do something for, you know, a professional wrestler. And it's smart that AEW allows their guys to not only, you know, do these wrestling matches and go to these independent wrestling shows, it's also smart that they allow them to go to these Comic-Cons and, you know, meet and greets, because that's a great way to not only, you know, give them more money in their pockets, these wrestlers, but also it's a great way to advertise All Elite Wrestling. So if you go to an independent show, you see Jeff and Matt Hardy. And obviously, a lot of people know them from WWE. But then when you go to meet them, it's like, you're probably wondering, what's Jeff, what's Matt doing right now? And it's cool because they're, you know, going to these, you know, stores, they're doing these meet and greets, they're going to these independent wrestling shows, and they're able to advertise AEW. And it's pretty much like a free advertisement for them, so that you get more viewers tuned in to TBS and TNT to watch them. And I think WWE, they're doing it slowly with Fitterman Sports. They're having, you know, some, you know, WWE superstars go to these, you know, meet and greets. I know the big event in New York, I went there back in March, met Cody Rhodes, met Edge, met Charlotte Flair, and, you know, Fitterman Sports brought them in. And they're slowly doing it, but I feel like WWE should be, you know, capitalizing on, you know, the independent circuit, having, you know, these guys, they don't have to wrestle, but having fans meet them, that's a great way to, you know, give them that one-on-one experience, and that could really put one of your baby faces over.
There you go.
But yeah, so congratulations to Fitzgerald 434 on the comment of the week.
Definitely the comment of the week because we actually went on to a fucking discussion about it. So, yeah, solid comment, man.
Absolutely. So, moving on now to our next topic. Speaking of AEW and some drama.
I'll let you take this one. Like, I'll give you what I can, but I'll let you take this one because I don't have a lot of background on it.
So, Ace Steel has been rehired by AEW several months ago, and some of the casuals that are, tuning in, listening, or watching the podcast are probably wondering, who the fuck is Ace Steel? Well, Ace Steel is one of CM Punk's best friends, and he actually got fired after the all-out, media scrum thing because he ended up biting Kenny Omega's arm, like Larry would do to somebody.
Can you imagine going from, being known as CM Punk's best friend and kind of like, advocate to being known as the guy that bit Kenny Omega and got fired for it?
Well, Ace Steel, he got fired because of it. And according to Nick Hausman of House of Wrestling reports that AEW rehired Steel several months ago, but has not been actively working while backstage at the shows. While he was rehired, Steel was told that he would work with AEW president Tony Khan on creative in some capacity. The idea was for him to work remotely because he may upset some talent, Kenny Omega in particular, should he be backstage at shows. But now here's the question I have for you, Ben.
What's up?
Do you think it's a good move for AEW to keep Ace Steel? Because he was one of the guys that got really, got a lot of backlash for the whole media scrum thing for biting Kenny My God Omega.
If they want CM Punk back, then yes, this is a good idea. But if you are a fan of AEW, I can understand the disdain. So, yeah, you just kind of got to go with what means the more and what's going to make you the most money. And right now, I think having him back and having, CM Punk back, if you really want CM Punk back, who is a needle mover, you're going to hire Ace Steel back. Basically, because I guarantee that was one of the fucking many things that CM Punk probably required to come back was having Ace Steel there for his comfort. So, yeah, I think
probably
that's
help
probably
with his creativity too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's for his comfort and creativity. So, they both have at least have a friend there. So, that's basically the way I see it.
Yeah, so, my thoughts on the whole Ace Steel being, rehired by AEW. I think that there's two ways to look at this, like you were saying. One of them, this could be a good move because, of course, CM Punk, he still draws money. He still puts asses in seats.
Absolutely.
And, he is one of, the top guys in AEW, despite all the drama that has happened within the past year. He still draws money, and Ace Steel, that is somebody CM Punk trusts, and especially with what happened with, the EVPs and CM Punk, his, trust bubble is probably a lot smaller now. And if CM Punk is going to go back, in the ocean with the sharks, he probably wants Ace Steel to go in there so that he can bite somebody back.
You son of a bitch. That was a perfect fucking time to take the opportunity to take.
But then there's the other side to things where Ace Steel, he was, a big, piece in all of this, drama with CM Punk and the whole all-out media scrum. He even showed up on TV a few times before their match, with CM Punk versus Moxley. They had Ace Steel be on TV for a little bit, and a lot of us, including myself, I was like, who the fuck is Ace Steel?
Well,
and
the guy
I guess
that
he was
bit
like
Kenny
a former
Omega.
Ring of Honor wrestler, and that's how, CM Punk and him, they became best friends.
Yeah.
And, I always say this about Ace Steel. That's CM Punk's second best friend, because his best friend was always Colt Cabana.
I was about to say that.
So Ace
Scott
Steel
Coulson.
is pretty much the fake best friend, I guess.
Scott Colton.
But with Ace Steel, man, I think that as long as we keep his teeth away from the performers and the superstars and Tony Khan and the EVPs, I think everything's going to be okay.
Kenny Omega should start wearing around a fucking shirt that says no teeth, please.
Yeah, so I think the only way that we're going to be able to keep him away from, biting the other wrestlers is putting a muzzle on him when he's backstage at the shows.
A legitimate mouthpiece.
But all jokes aside, though, Ace Steel, he, has done a lot of work, through the years on the creative side of things with WWE, Impact, Ring of Honor.
He's
even
a valuable
AEW.
person to have.
He is, an asset. And with the
At the end
whole
of the day,
media
that's what you
scrum
need.
thing, it is both sides. CM Punk and Ace Steel and his side, they were wrong for, having CM Punk was wrong for, calling out anybody afterwards, saying, oh, if you have a fucking problem with me, you can meet me in the backstage. But then, the Elite, they're wrong because they're the EVPs. You're supposed to be more professional, and sometimes you have to take shit from
And that
your
is
other,
why
wrestlers.
You never let talent in a position of power.
Well, one thing we did learn through all this, though, is the Elite, they do not have any creative control.
Good.
They just, help with the morals and stuff with the wrestlers. And that's why they're in that position. Which, that's some good news to hear, at least, because some of us, thought that they were doing things, on the creative side, and at least they're not friggin' pushing themselves and, not trying to push people. Because a lot of people in, a power of position, Eric Bischoff, he was in, a power of position in WCW, and he pushed his boys. He pushed the NWO so much that WWF ended up beating them and buying them out. But yeah, so just as long as he's not biting any performers, I think everything's going to be okay. But moving on now to the last topic before we get into the main event of We Are Wrestling 57. We have some news on Randy Orton. So, WWE actually just posted this about an hour ago before we, started taping this podcast. Randy Orton will be appearing on Monday Night Raw. And there's also some sad news as well that came out earlier this week, which was the topic before, the whole Raw thing. So, Randy Orton might be retiring soon. So, Sportskeeda Bill caught up with WWE Hall of Famer Bob Orton, who's Randy Orton's father, at the 80s Wrestling Con. Bob Orton stated that he's training, so we'll see what happens. Orton said, I don't know if he feels like going back. If he feels like going back, or if he feels like he's ready to go back. I think he might, Orton said. Then again, he's pretty well taken care of. I don't think he needs to. I think the doctors have told him not to, Orton continued. Randy will do what Randy's going to do. He always does. So, with Randy Orton appearing on Monday Night Raw, and, with these reports about him maybe retiring because of this, back injury he had, what do you think is going to happen with Randy Orton moving forward?
He's going to come on Raw. He's going to talk about how it's been over the course of time that he's been out. He's going to talk about his extensive surgery. He's going to be like, all right, got to retire. Something's going to happen. He's going to have a series of a couple matches. Then he's going to retire by some time around this time next year. Probably WrestleMania.
Yeah,
he's going to have one more solid run.
So with Randy Orton, I don't see him hanging the boots up. I don't see it happening.
Not right
Randy
away,
Orton
but
has way too much love for this business. And
for sure.
Yes, he does have a very serious injury that happened. But I feel like what's going to happen on Raw, I think Randy's going to come out. He's going to, probably try to do one of those fake retirement things, which I really hope is what happens.
Yep,
because I never want to see a wrestler retire not under their terms. Because Randy Orton,
we could go circles around that.
More left in him to, in WWE, and he was working, he was still working a full-time, deal with WWE. So I really don't want to see him. I really don't want to see him, have to hang up the boots because, the doctors told him to.
So this is what I'm going to tell you, because I'm going to look at it at a different perspective that unfortunately you would not be able to understand at the moment. He loves this business, but I guarantee he loves his kids more. And if he keeps pushing that envelope, he's not going to be able to do a lot of those things, like walk with his kids on the beach, walk his daughter down the aisle. He's not going to be able to do any of those things if he gets severely injured. If he takes one wrong bump, that's it. That's fucking it. and you can't come back from that. So I see him coming back, like you said, doing his little fake-ass retirement speech. He's going to have a series of matches, but he's going to be on a more part-time schedule because of his injury. He's going to be very well protected in the ring. You're not going to see massive bumps that he used to take anymore. And I'm going to aim that he's going to retire come WrestleMania next year. I think he's going to have one more solid run, and then he's going to voluntarily hang up his boots because he can't press it any further, especially on the sake of his family, because he has young children still.
Well said.
That's the only reason why I'm saying that. I could see him retiring by Mania, but I do see him still having a little bit more gas in the tank to at least nuancely end his career on his terms, have the matches he wants, and then ride off into the sunset with his family. So that's just the way I see it.
And, I'm always going to support, whatever decision, Randy Orton makes. Like, if he does want to be a family man, by all means, go ahead and be a family man. You already gave so much to this business. And we are wrestling maniacs. And, I really do hope that it can be on Randy's terms and not the doctor's terms.
Absolutely.
And I definitely do see Randy Orton coming back on more of a part-time deal, maybe similar to, like, Chris Jericho's 90-day thing where he would work for 90 days and then he would take 90 days off and then he would come back eventually for 90 days and do that. Or, you can have him do the Brock Lesnar appearances as well. But I don't see Randy Orton doing that as well because of how, passionate he is still for the business. Because for him, it's still not about the money. It's about the love that he has. So I do think that, Randy Orton, he's going to do a part-time thing. I feel like he's probably not going to retire until, I think it'll be WrestleMania 41. I think he's going to do the part-time thing for a few years. But it all depends on, how bad this injury was and how, hard it's going to be for him to get back. So we're going to have to see what happens on Monday Night Raw, and we're probably going to have to be talking about it on We Are Wrestling 58 next week.
The biggest thing that here's my worry. My biggest worry is that he comes back and cannot perform to the same level or near the same level, because I don't want him to not come back and be super restricted, because at that point he's cheating himself and the fans are also gonna feel cheated, even though that's not the intention. And I don't think Randy even wants to do that, because then at that point, what's the point of doing it if you can't satisfy yourself, yet alone your fans, So we'll really have to see what the extent of the injury is come Monday for sure.
And man, that's sad too. Even on Busted Open Radio, John Cena even said too about him feeling like he wasn't pleasing the fans during his last performance at WrestleMania.
He did not go to
his
work
time
that night.
and his time is running out, unfortunately, and we're seeing it.
I think everybody saw that. Cena did not go to work with Theory. He performed, but it wasn't Cena level performing, which is nuts. You could tell that his weight loss has taken a toll on his strength. You could tell that he's getting more winded in the ring. It's taking him longer to get up. I'm like, fuck, this is Cena. This is the workhorse of professional wrestling in general, and he's starting to go down. So I'm like, I don't want a superstar to go past his means of his capabilities. I don't want him to come back and then be lukewarm. I'd want him to come back on an edge level who is still performing the way he used to, just not as high of spots, And
that's the thing about Randy Orton's, wrestling style. I'm sure he's going to be able to work for a couple more years on a part-time deal, because he does work a very safe style in the ring, which is why he's been able to have this long career.
I just hope that it doesn't limit his RKOs, because those are very heavy backdrops. So
well, that's all Randy Orton needs, man, is those RKOs out of nowhere.
We're gonna see the RKOs out of nowhere, and they're not gonna be as frequent. We're gonna get a lot more punt kicks than anything. But I think the RKO is gonna be very special. This is gonna put them away type of move, like the tombstone pile driver. I don't think anybody's gonna kick out of the RKO anymore.
We're gonna have to wait and see, definitely for sure. But now it's time for the main event topic for We Are Wrestling 57.
I'm excited to talk about this because my fucking extra got ruined. I don't even know how. I don't even know how it got ruined. I rewatched it and you were right. There is no audio. I'm like, what the fuck? I literally just recorded a fucking reaction and everything was fine. So I'm mad as fuck.
For the We Are Wrestling listeners and watchers right now, Ben recorded an extra about Seth Rollins, being on the set for the new Captain America movie, and it was muted, so I couldn't edit it and I couldn't post it to the channel unless you wanted him to just, be like this.
Subtitles for the deaf. And I'm so mad about it, dude. I'm so fucking mad.
And it was on like one of those days too that you were having like a stressful day too. So that probably didn't help either.
So that just ruined my spirits more, but at least we get to talk about it now.
And it's our main event topic too. Because we got more news on Seth Rollins. So, with that being said, let's get into it. Seth Rollins has been casted for the new Captain America movie. We saw him on set earlier this week. Ben was supposed to do an extra, but he ended up, failing because he had his mic muted while he was talking. But that's okay.
Which I don't understand.
But there are reports that WWE might be hesitant when it comes to putting the new World Heavyweight Championship on him. Since, he got this big role in this Captain America movie, they're worried that, Hollywood could be giving Seth Rollins more opportunities, like Roman Reigns is set to do pretty soon.
There's going to be
Should WWE be concerned?
Okay, so I feel like with all their superstars eventually going to fucking Hollywood, there's gonna be like a contract now, being like, all right, listen, if you sign with us, you cannot go to fucking Hollywood.
No Hollywood, no OnlyFans.
Anything that makes you a shit ton of money that we can't pay, you can't do.
No Twitch.
Hey, no, you can do Twitch now. They allowed it.
Xavier Woods, no controller.
No more up, down, 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 bitch. It's just gonna be down.
No video games past 7 o'clock.
That's not good shit. But all right. So as far as them being concerned about him,
no
being
workout
WWE,
videos for Sheamus.
that Celtic Warrior workouts, nah, canceled. No, but as far as Seth Rollins being World Heavyweight Champion and them being concerned, I don't know what the concern is, considering he's done filming. So I don't see, and I also don't see him being a reoccurring role either, because the Serpent Society is very much a Captain America thing, and Captain America is only going to happen every few fucking years. I mean, the last Captain America movie we got before this was 2016, and that was Civil War, and this is the fourth movie finally, and it's 2024 by the time that comes out. So I think, as long as he doesn't pick up any other fucking roles, he'll be fine. But as far as like his role in Captain America 4, I think not only is he done filming, but it's not a substantial role. Like, it's just for that movie particularly, they're focusing on that particular group. Serpent Society is basically kind of aligned with Hydra, which is like the big fucking enemy to Captain America, which was ran by the Red Skull. But I don't see it being a huge issue. I think that they're anticipating it to be a huge issue because I think they might be anticipating Seth going to more Hollywood shit, because I'm assuming Seth probably talked about how good of a time he fucking had and probably said, I want to do this again. And that will be cause of concern for everybody. Sorry. But yeah, no, I think he's going to be phenomenal because obviously we can see what he can do on the mic. He's one of the best on the best fucking persona characters. He can play characters like it's nothing. So I think he'll be fine there. But to cause concern for him being world champion, I don't think that's necessary. I don't think that it should be that worrisome, considering, again, it wasn't that huge of a role, but he is going to have some screen time for sure.
So I think that WWE, these reports are coming out because they want to try to swerve the fans and thinking that AJ Styles has a chance of winning this match, even though, come on now, like realistically, we all know Seth freaking Rollins is going to be the first world heavyweight champion.
For sure. I just wish it was somebody else. Like I wish it was somebody else that deserved, a title, like an opportunity, especially a big one.
Ooh,
like I'm
so
glad
you don't
it's
think
not
Seth
Cody.
Rollins deserves the world title?
No, I think it should have gone to Edge. And it's not even just my bias, it should have gone to Edge. Edge never lost that title, and two, his time's running out too. And if there's any way to end it, do it the same way, but have him lose it on his terms, putting over someone he wants to put over.
I will say, if WWE was smart, they would have had Edge won this match to go against Seth Rollins because of all the fans, fantasizing about Edge never lost the gold. So, like, what can we have here with Edge?
Another opportunity.
And it could have gone both ways, because then you wouldn't be in a situation where you would have to guess, you would actually have to guess who's going to win, Edge or Seth Rollins, because both guys have, those reasons to be world champion.
Because here's the thing. Seth could win it, which I think he's gonna. And they could set up Edge versus Seth Rollins because they still haven't fucking feuded yet, that I remember. Don't think they have. When the fuck did they feud? God, he's been back for a while.
I think in 2021.
For what?
I don't know. I know Seth Rollins went into Edge's house.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because he called FTR. That's right. He called FTR. I remember. Okay. No, that was Randy that went into his... Oh, no, it was Seth. It was Seth, because Edge was the... Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck. Yeah, you're right. Okay. But yeah, no, I think that if there would be a monster feud for that world title, it would be against Edge. I think Edge... Because he's on Raw now, right?
He's on SmackDown. He's on SmackDown. That's where they would have to figure out how are you going to get Edge to go to that brand. It's either Money in the Bank or Royal Rumble. Unless they only do one Money in the Bank contract.
Dude, have Edge win the fucking Money in the Bank and cash in. Have him be the first, because he was the first person to ever win the Money in the Bank, and to have him do it again, getting those 2005 vibes. Yes, absolutely. Even if he cashes in, wins, and then loses it shortly after, I would still be happy with that with my head held high. 100%.
I think before Edge retires, he'll probably get the title.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping.
But I think Seth Rollins does deserve to be the World Heavyweight Champion, because
out of everybody,
before getting so over, having the crowd, singing his music, and, this, 180 from, the whole burn it down thing, I think that, Seth Rollins deserves this, because for the past year, Seth Rollins has been putting people over, like
it's
Cody
time to get
Rhodes,
back over himself,
Austin Theory, and now that he's so over with the crowd and being one of the top baby faces on the Raw brand, I think it really doesn't hurt to give the man the championship.
I don't think it hurts either.
A lot within the past year or two.
Especially since you have the most monstrous heel right now as the dual champion. I think it only makes sense to have the biggest baby face on Raw being the world champion, and who is also a member of the Shield. I'm just sick of the Shield members getting fucking pushes all the time. I want somebody else, but out of anybody that they're gonna re-push, Seth Rollins is the guy.
He's earned it, man.
For sure.
Because the last WWE Championship run that Seth Rollins had, he was very over with the crowd. They were very happy with him. But then they got sick of him pretty quick, and he became very repetitive, to where they had to, turn him into the visionary.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to make it work, and now look at him.
Facts.
I think WWE has nothing to worry about here. I think that Seth Rollins, maybe he's going to pick up these roles at times, but you can make it work.
I don't see him being a part-timer for some years.
How many movies did The Miz do? How many Marines did he do? Yet he was still on TV.
That is still the greatest burn I've ever heard. Fucking Cena telling him that he's making movies that he's already made. I was like, damn, dude, that's fucking cold. That is so fucking cold.
But man, I don't know. I think there's nothing to worry about here with Seth Rollins. And I know WWE, there is reports that they're all very happy, with him getting this role.
No,
and
sure.
Seth Rollins has already proven multiple times that he is a WWE guy. And especially right now, he knows he is, very over with the crowd. He knows that he's very, hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see him, picking up these roles until his, career. No. And the only way I see him, picking up these roles is when, things start to become a little repetitive and stale.
Oh, yeah.
Because right now he's very hot. And I think Seth Rollins is actually having the best time, in WWE right now. He's having the most fun. And one thing I want to take, from that interview he did with Corey Graves, which, by the way, that was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Corey. I loved how Seth Rollins mentioned this. He said during this interview that before WWE was pushing him, to the crowd. But now the crowd wants him to be that guy.
Yep.
And it's genuine. It's real. And Seth Rollins is, having the most fun in his career right now. And I think that he would be the perfect, first world heavyweight champion.
So I'm going to end my thoughts on this with, I don't see Seth ever going part-time until more stars are made. And that's a couple of years down the road. And he's already still super young still. So he's got plenty of gas in the tank. I think he Randy Orton are going to also be a part of the whole Undertaker thing where they were a WWE day one, from the start to finish. So I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. I think he's still going to be going, and he definitely deserves this opportunity for sure. It's been since 2019 since he was world champion. It's time.
And here's how I'm going to leave this off as well. I think that I understand the worries because we've seen, The Rock go to Hollywood. We've seen John Cena go to Hollywood. And that's the thing that makes it scary, the whole Hollywood thing. It's John Cena, because with that feud with The Rock, he called out The Rock for going to Hollywood and, not being there for the universe. But now John Cena, understands where The Rock was coming from because his career was starting to wind down. So he went down the Hollywood route. Batista.
And he's older.
And that's the thing. I feel like I understand the concerns, but I think Seth Rollins, he's not going to Hollywood anytime soon.
Oh, fuck no. Fuck no. It's too soon.
And I just think that, Seth Rollins, they're, going to keep pushing this, report and stuff so that people believe AJ Styles has a chance of being, the world heavyweight champion. But we all know it's Seth freaking Rollins at the end of the day. He's going to beat AJ.
For sure.
Because if that was the case, if AJ was going to beat him, AJ Styles would be on Raw.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But now to the We Are Wrestling Maniacs out there, let us know in the comments how you guys feel about all the topics that we covered on We Are Wrestling 57. If you guys enjoyed this week's episode of the podcast, make sure to smash that like button now. If you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, subscribe, turn on the post notifications, or if you're a listener, follow us on, Apple or Spotify. All the links down in the description below. You can go follow Ben and I on our social medias and other YouTube pages. All that down below. Danny's links are not down there because he wasn't in this episode. Sorry, not sorry, Danny. And in addition, you want shorter clips of the podcast. You can't sit through an hour and a half of us rambling about wrestling. Then you can go follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. All the links down below. And of course, to all the We Are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide, we are taking over. Peace.